Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our fireside chat. My name is Jim Crenshaw. I'm managing partner at Metis Energy, and it's my pleasure to be the host for today's virtual session. We're going to begin our fireside chat with experts and follow that up with a demonstration of Moritech's AI-powered accelerator, DFast. And we'll end today's session with an open Q&A. I'm very pleased to introduce our industry experts who are joining us today. We have Lalit Thakur, who is our Chief Data Officer at American Tire Distributors. Nick Gavalis is our Enterprise Account Executive at Snowflake. And Mr. Praveen Kola is our Vice President, Data Engineering and Data Sciences at Moritech. Gentlemen, I'd like to start and ask each of you to give a quick personal introduction and a bit about your company overview. Lalit, can we please start with you?
Sure. Good morning, everybody, and good afternoon to the folks joining us from Asia or Europe. My name is Lalit Thakur. I have the privilege of serving as Chief Data Officer for American Tire Distributors. We are the largest replacement tire distributor in the US and have a robust presence in Canada. Just a little bit about the organization. We distribute tires to about 80,000 customers across 130,000 drop points. Our volumes are 45 million units that are sold across to these customers. We own 139 distribution centers and 1,400 private fleet. We get international shipments, about 17,000 a year. So pretty large volume of business across the United States as well as Canada. We've organized ourselves so that we distribute tires in a timely fashion so that our customers can cater to their consumers in a very short span. So that's the background about the organization. Happy to have this conversation today with this team.
Thank you, Lalit. Nick, would you please give us an overview of Snowflake and a personal introduction?
Absolutely. Hello, everybody. I'm Nick Gavalis. I'm an account executive with Snowflake. I'm based in Charlotte, North Carolina. And chiefly, I help organizations evaluate and adopt and gain value out of the Snowflake Data Cloud. Proud to be here with everyone today, especially American Tire Distributors and Lalit, an account that I support. The real value of Snowflake is just getting data from A to Z and out to the farthest point of the business as quickly and cost effectively as possible. We ultimately want to enable the people closest to the business to make good decisions and have the insights and write new products and bring new data products to market quickly and easily. So usually whether the challenges are too much cost, too much complexity, too much time, too much overhead and management burden in your data operations, performance and scale limitations, all of those are eliminated in our world. Right? So we solve a lot of those tactical and operational challenges on the Snowflake Data Cloud, but really it is about data access and allowing you to get the data, whether it's inside your four walls or outside your four walls, to enrich your data sphere and give the business value. So we are maniacally focused on the end users and enabling everyone to succeed, bringing data products to market. So looking forward to the conversation today.
Thank you, Nick. Praveen, please.
Good morning and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen across the world. My name is Praveen Kola. I'm VP for Data Science and Data Engineering Practice at Moritech. Happy to be here with our esteemed participants. We at Moritech, as a part of our data engineering practice, we are helping our customers, especially here, American Tire Distributors, to embark on their data journey. We are partners for the Snowflake, and we are helping many of our customers implementing Snowflake. And we are backed up with industry leaders, which uniquely bring that industry lens to the data warehouse, embarking on the data warehouse journey. And more importantly, we also help our customers to reduce the cost of implementation by having unique differentiators such as Snowflake accelerators, accelerating the data migration from the legacy data warehouse systems to Snowflake in a rapid manner. So this is how we are creating value by having a unique differentiators, but also bringing that industry knowledge when it comes to the data warehouse creation or a data platform creation, for the organizations such as American Tire Distributors here today.
Thank you, Praveen. Thank you, gentlemen. For all of our attendees, before we begin, I'd like to make a quick announcement. During the course of today's fireside chat, we'll be doing 3 polling questions of about 1 minute each. And we'll start with our first polling question now, and I encourage all of you to please participate. You'll see it up on your screen. Hope everyone would please answer our multiple choice. We are going to talk quite a bit about the challenges that we encounter in migrating to a data-driven organization. It'll be one of our themes throughout the day.
I think we'll talk a whole lot more about people and process, and that's what this polling question aims to get at is, how do you organize your team internally, externally, a combination of both, to really help you deliver value very quickly. Speed is our currency. We like to say that quite a bit at Snowflake. So how can we accomplish quite a bit on schedule and deliver value to the business? So I think that'll be chief component of our conversation today.
All right. Well, thank you. We had 100% participation. So let's begin. And Lilat, I'd like to start with you. It's really impressive how American Tire Distributors has migrated from their legacy systems into the Snowflake platform. And you've seen a tremendous impact enterprise-wide on your decision-making and utilization of data that perhaps weren't as efficiently utilized in the past. I'd like to ask you to talk to the group about the challenges you face with data migration and how American Tire Distributors overcame these effectively.
Sure. Thanks for that question, Jim. So I talked about American Tire Distributors, right? So you've got the challenge of distributing to 130 drop points across the United States from these 139 different distribution centers with a private fleet of about 1,400 vehicles. But if you step back and look at our vision statement is to be the most connected and insightful automotive solutions provider. It doesn't say distribution, it doesn't say tires. We are a solutions provider organization. And our North Star is really to make data-driven decisions. So how can we accomplish that? About a year ago, when we reflected on our current state, and we said, listen, we are organized in a way where we are interacting with our businesses in a little bit of a transactional way. We're delivering reports, we're delivering dashboards, but it is not in a very cohesive, strategic manner. So we decided to fire on 3 different fronts. One is around operations. How can we go from tactical to strategic alignment with the business and deliver not reports or dashboards, but actually analytic products that will solve some of the challenges that the business is facing from an operations perspective. The second one was, how can we modernize our technology? We had technology that was 6-7 years old. It served us well in the past, but now it's run out of its capability to deliver to the modern requirements. So we needed to modernize our stack from a technology perspective. And the last one was talent. And I think we already talked about talent. We had a poll around it. It was critical that we bring in talent so that they can bring in the fresh ideas of modern technology, of modern way of processing data and information. So with that in mind, we took on the journey of bringing in a centralized cloud-based data lake for us. And we did our due diligence and we picked Snowflake for the organization. But in order for us to operate and deliver the end vision of data-driven decision, we really need to put together an enterprise information factory vision. And since then, about a year and a half ago, we've been chipping away at that capability. It's a 2 to 3 year vision. We have partnered with Snowflake, we've partnered with Mortec to help us deliver to that vision. And eventually we want to get our organization to the self-service methodology. So not only are we delivering analytics products, we are delivering data services, and now eventually to the self-service. So that's been our journey. And that's kind of how we overcame some of our initial challenges. Not to say we have solved everything. It's a 2-year roadmap, so we're continuing to chip away at it.
That sounds like a fascinating journey, Lalit. You know, Nick, you're the enterprise account executive at Snowflake, and I know a lot of your time is spent sharing your knowledge and learnings really with businesses globally about the many challenges to transform companies to data-driven organizations. Would you please share with us a little bit of your insight on what are some of the challenges that organizations face? And then also, what is the role that Snowflake plays in this transformation journey?
Yeah, absolutely. So we see a variety of different organizations that are at every different stage of their spectrum, right? So some are just getting started, some are very mature, and everyone in between. The challenges are always a little bit unique, but a couple always float to the top. And mainly it's people and process. I think every organization strives to be data-driven or knows in their heart of hearts that they need to be data-driven, but it takes a lot of introspection to stop maybe what has been done in the past. And sometimes these are institutional habits and infrastructures and technology that has accrued over decades. So it takes a lot of fortitude, I think, for an organization to hear that maybe there's a more modern approach, and technology helps, right? You know, the tech is great, and obviously I'm a little biased when I say that, but it's really just the starting point. If we don't have buy-in from business stakeholders and the boots on the ground that are responsible for data management and data access, there is a whole lot of friction to overcome, right? So you know, typically we advise evaluating Snowflake and whatever that means to your business, and figuring out where it sits within an organization, and then we can help you really drive toward the use cases that will show and prove the value, and build from there. You know, ultimately, we want to deliver business value that also delivers value back to our internal customers, and their customers beyond their 4 walls. And that's really how Snowflake wins as well. So we're very much in the boat, rowing with our customers, and trying to help them deliver on that promise. So the tech is first, it's foundational. You have to adopt good modern technology and then put the right people and integrator partners in place to actually make the technology sing and make it work for your business. So, you know, undoing some of those habits is probably what I would say is the biggest friction. And then getting everybody on board with the mission, to say, hey, this is what we're going to do, and here's the business value that we're going to gain. But we need the participation and we need the processes to modernize in order to deliver. So that's probably my answer, people and process.
Yeah, very insightful, Nick. You know, people many times overlook that in change, you've got a technical component to the change, but also there's an emotional component to the change that needs to be addressed by organizations.
Yeah, and Jim, that you know what Nick said, the technology is a technology, but unless you break away from the old way of doing and processing data, you may or may not take advantage of the full capability of the platform, right? So we've gone through the warehouse concepts, we've gone through some of the concepts around big data, but you can't just take the same thing and plop into the new technology. You have to think differently. And I like the word you use, the emotional bind towards the older methods of working. They served us well in the past, but it's time to move on to the modern concepts.
Yeah, paradigms are powerful. People hate to break them. But well, thank you, gents. You know, I'd like to move over to you, Praveen. You know, you and I have had the privilege of working together on collaborating on several projects, and I'm very, very pleased to have you join the chat today with your industry insights. I'd like to ask you to tell us briefly about the partnership that Mortec has formed with American Tire Distributors, how it came about, and how has it developed since inception?
Great question, Jim. So our journey with American Tire Distributors, ATD, started almost 15 months ago. And the way we got engaged with Lalit's and team, the data management office at ATD, is mainly to look at their existing systems, understand their vision. Basically, we did a data strategy assessment. And we are fortunate to learn the overall vision that the data management office has put together. And one of the central piece of that vision is enterprise information factory. That's a great concept because it is not just modernizing the platforms. It is having the total 360-degree views of the entire data journey for the end users, I would say. And quickly we came to know that one of the major aspects of this particular modernizing or establishing the enterprise information factory is having a robust data platform. And we are glad that Lalit and team selected Snowflake to do that job. For the technology as a technology partner, even though there are a lot of other moving parts in it. That is where we got excited. When we started the journey, we looked at the whole vision into three dimensions, so three lenses. One is modernizing the platform. The second one is understanding the as-is, what data products already in place and how the users are consuming the data. And the third important one is the vision, where the ATD is headed in next 2 years. And bringing all these things together, we came up with our recommendations from the processes side, from the implementation methodologies standpoint, and another thing is the consumption patterns. And one of the things that Lalit was alluding was, we don't want just a canned report. We want the self-service embedded in this platform. So we were, started looking from that manner, how this platform that we are building with the Snowflake as a central foundational aspect, how we can enable the users for the self-service is another aspect we started looking at. It's a great journey with ATD, with Snowflake as a team. Very fortunate to be part of the partnership here.
Well, gentlemen, I really like the comments that Praveen has just made. This might be a good time to open up the discussion amongst the three of you. Let's talk a bit about the power that the data has in altering an organization's business model. And what have you experienced here in this journey, and what are some of your views about how data transforms business models of organizations today? I'll open that up to anyone.
I can kick off. So for us, it was critical. If you look at our strategy pyramid, the topmost portion of that pyramid is to be the market leading insights and analytics organization. So that should tell you how critical is the data and the analytics for the organization and how much we are relying on that information so that we can make the decisions. I'll give you an example, right? So I talked about analytics products. I talked about us morphing into data services. Analytics products takes about weeks or months to deliver to the business, right? And it's solving some really hard business problems. It's removing manual labor. It's providing automation and giving information at fingertips. But the business landscape is morphing, given the supply chain issues that we have across the industry, these problems come at us from a sideways, right? So we need to respond in hours or days, and the data services team does that in a very rapid fashion. And all of that information, the data that is now collected centrally, is enabling us to answer, whether it's regarding shipments or on-time deliveries, or whether it's to do with certain DCs and laborers or stocking positions. All of those are real business problems that we are solving across the industry. So that's how we are leveraging the data and the technology today in our organization.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, just to build on that, just to build on that a little bit, I think it takes a little bit of creativity from folks in product, marketing, data, you name it, any business unit to think about where their business sits, and not only in this example, the supply chain and distribution of tires, but what data do we now have that can be an asset because of where we sit in that supply chain? If you think strategically about, ATD is helping manufacturers get their tires in the place of retailers and consumers ultimately. We now have data that we can use internally, but then also externally to augment our offerings to our customers, right? So just an example, how can we become more of even a marketing organization to say, hey, retail partner A or consumer, B through Z, we know this that is of value to you to either reduce your cost or increase your revenue or your margins. How can we deliver that as a product, right? So, I'm not saying this happens overnight, but I think that's what Lalit and team have done very well to say, let's work very tightly to the business to rethink the value that we can provide to our customers, right? So how can I either reduce churn or create new offerings or create new even business units or lines of business, right? So that is where data has the power to transform what we mean to our customers and our partners throughout our entire ecosystem. And Snowflake just plays part of a role in that, right? Organizing and centralizing all of the data in one place and then pushing it and democratizing access to that data to all that we can provide value to. And I alluded to it a little bit earlier, this ability to tap into third-party data using the Snowflake Data Cloud, right? So can I go get information about my consumer demographic, census data, consumer information, weather, COVID-19, essentially limitless data sets live on the Snowflake Data Cloud, and we can access these data and join them to our business data to really enrich and blow the lid off of what value we can provide to our customers, internal and externally, right? So that is the true value of the Snowflake Data Cloud. And I think in working with some of Lalit's business partners, we're already seeing value from this ability to reach outside of the four walls of our data to really get creative on how we can bring value to our customers.
I just want to add one more point on, on top of what Nick said. Once you have the data, obviously it is going to create, it is going to open a lot of doors and a lot of opportunities. So being ATD is a main distribution organization. One of the major challenges, how do we optimize it? How do we optimize all these, moving the tires from one place to another place? How can we make the inventory available in the shortest distribution center, DC? That is what the business calls. So to get to that kind of optimization, to get to that kind of advanced analytics, whatever that is happening now, the data collection in one place and curating the data, connecting the data from external signals, as Nick was alluding, is a need of the hour, and that is what is happening today. And I can see if we continue to do that, and probably Lalit, you might be hitting your vision sooner than later. All the these complex use cases that you and your organization, along with the business partners, are working with, whether it is an optimization or supply chain control tower and all that stuff, all that not too far from realizing that dream, I would say.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if you heard this or it came across, but the Bodytech and Snowflake, they're no longer a vendor, they're more of a partner. They're speaking about my business problems. They're helping me solve my business problem. And to me, that is a demonstration of a successful partnership where our problems are now extended across and the individuals are thinking through and helping us solve. And this centralization of data that Nick talked about, the key there is connecting of these data sets together so that it's no longer solved as a supply chain or a sales or a marketing issue. These issues are all connected together. And when we provide the answers, it's a cohesive answer back to the business.
Yeah, I really like that point, Lalit, that you mentioned that you see alignment now both on your internal customers as well as your external relationships. Everything aligned for the support of the business. You guys have touched on a couple of very interesting points here. One is the added value of data into an organization's business model, and the second point being solving the supply chain challenges within an organization. And serendipitously, it seems with COVID coming, the employee shortage, the current supply chain shortages, you guys are living this benefit of a data-driven organization in real time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I use my favorite example. I call them the 4 C's, right? You got to collect, you got to clean, you got to connect, and then you got to consume. That's the data ecosystem, right? So as you implement these 4 C's, the collect, clean, connect, and consume, the consumption can happen not only in the analytics products, but also in some of the data science capabilities. And today, the platform, as a part of the EIF vision, awards you that, right? So now I can no longer, not necessarily limit it to just running analytics products, but I can bring those data models and run on top of the data. How can I minimize the movement of the data? Nick talked about the third-party data sets. I literally can fire a query to a third-party data set without having to actually move it. So all of those capabilities are in turn helping us. Now, MarTech team is bringing in the data science expertise. We are actually thinking about taking those models and now pushing it down into the stack and run it in place on top of the data sets. So that's where we are in the journey, but there's more to come on it as we walk the steps and work on the EIF vision.
Yeah, I'd probably add that, with the seismic shift that was COVID-19, everyone had to adapt very, very quickly. And we know for some time now, it's cliche that the fast eat the small, that the fast eat the big, right? So we had to be set in the foundation that we can go quickly. We can't then just see something coming and then react, right? We need that foundation to be able to move very nimbly as needed. And get ahead of these things as much as possible. And data is really the key to all of that, so that we don't make decisions by gut and feel, but rather we are informed and make the best decision that we can to react to things like COVID-19 or changes in our supplier relationships, customer churn, or growing our business, right? So I truthfully do believe data is the key to all of that. And I think we all are aware, but we have to have all of the parts in place and not be reactive so that we can very quickly go as needed.
So one observation, Jim here, so one of the things, so we are actually implementing Snowflake and modernizing data warehouses with many customers. And most of them are in the journey of migration. But one unique thing here with this partnership, Snowflake as product owner, the software product owner, and Lalit from the business side. Think about one innovation partner from Snowflake, constantly innovating and dealing with the situation like COVID and the disrupted supply chains and everything, helping the data. On the other side, a team with the vision from the business trying to use these technologies and also constantly re-engineering the processes at their end. And we are in the middle from Auditech side to witnessing this. And as an implementation partner, this is an amazing setup compared to all the other Snowflake, some of the implementations that we are handling. I just want to comment that out, and highlight that, because without these 2 dimensions, with the constantly, innovating from the software and also constantly re-engineering the processes, adjusting to the scenarios, it is not a possibility here. So that is one thing that I want to highlight as a part of this. And this would, with this combination, I would say that there will be benefits all over the place that can be taken advantage of.
Thank you. Gentlemen, for the benefit of our audience, I'd like to rewind for a minute and take a question to you, Lalit. Early on in this process, as you were looking for different partners to bring into your journey, was there a particular moment in time or an aha moment when you said Snowflake is the right way to go?
Yeah, so I talked about the enterprise information factory vision, the EIF. I talked about the 4C concepts, right? So we needed a technology that could deliver to that vision. We also wanted to make sure that this technology is able to minimize the data movements, because the less you move the data, the better off you are, and you get faster products to the market, but also all of the associated challenges with the errors, et cetera, that come in with moving of data. So when we looked at several pieces of technology, and all of the pieces of technology, really shine from a pros and cons perspective. But when we looked at Snowflake, one of the things that really impressed me much more than any of the other partners was the fact that the business support model after the technology, the ability to walk the steps with the business, that actually was one of the best that I've seen. I'll give you an example, my favorite one now. We were trying to sell this internally to our leaders within the organization, as well as to the teams, because we wanted to do not only technology analysis, but also financial analysis. And Nick here came back with a robust spreadsheet model with all the information for me to be able to take it and move forward and demonstrate the economics behind it. So things like that, are count and are really the strong determinator, if you will, for selecting a piece of technology. Technologies generally have a similar look and feel and capability, but that's one of the things from a post-go live support that attracted us.
I mean, from a acceptance of change through the emotional content, I think that data really felt that you would pick the right partner. Satisfying, anticipating your needs. Yeah.
Just to add a little bit to that, we embarked down a very tactical problem. There was a lot of friction of getting data from A to B, and before we could even talk about the business value it would deliver. And we're working with the teams to prove this out. And I think at some point we realized, all right, we've seen enough. This is going to help our organization in a variety of ways. But can we turn a little bit more to say, what's the overall value that the platform will deliver? Yes, the technology will solve some of the challenges the team had. But I remember very specifically one meeting with Lit where we were trying to convey that this is more than just a data platform. It's a data content network. And I know I've mentioned this a few times, but the ability to attach to data beyond, right? We then can change ourselves as data professionals and say, yes, we got to engineer the data and get it to the users, but can we be creative about what data we could go serve up to these users? They may not even know that they care about, but they should, right? And that's really the power. If you speak to our executives or our board, that's really all they're going to talk to you about, is this power of connecting the data ecosystem around the world. And I know it's a big picture, but that ultimately is the end vision of a platform like Snowflake, to say that we're going to stop all this copying and moving and FTPing of data and really all of the friction associated with engineering it. Someone else can do that for me as a service. Frankly, that's not what makes an organization like American Tire Distributors special. What makes them special is their assets and their ability to go to market and provide value for their customers. If someone else can go get that data, curate it for me, keep it live and refreshed in a queryable format, and deliver that to me as a service, that's great. I shouldn't be in the business of going and doing that for weather data or COVID-19. That is something I should consume as a service. And so once we really got the executives to understand that this was going to deliver that long-term value, I think it became a good internal sell. And Lalit mentioned how we act as a partner. We are not just someone who sells you something and shows up again in a year. We are dead focused on customer success. That's how Snowflake is KPI'd to Wall Street, and that's how we are KPI'd as a local support team, right? So we have to work hand in hand to get customers successful and get them successful quickly, which I think is unique in a lot of different approaches.
Thank you, Nick. Praveen, I'd like to ask you to comment on some of the different migration strategies in the past that we've seen. Can you please talk a bit about what worked well with ADT? I'm sorry, American Tire Distributors, ATD.
Absolutely. So at American Tire Distributors, one of the, the different thing we have done is going through the as is, understand what is already in there. I would like to hear actually, come in here the way the Lalison team ask us to do a thorough study of already existing data products and data assets already there. That is a very important one, even before we start migrating anything from point A to point B. So the main thing here is obviously for the legacy data warehouse systems, there is a lot of data sitting out there. And another main important thing is there is a lot of data is already being consumed from these legacy data warehouses. Now, when we try to migrate, a thorough study really helped. That is the one important aspect that I want to bring it here. The second thing is, now there is no apple to apple comparison that you take from a in-house on-premise age-old data warehouse into the modern, the cloud-based Snowflake kind of modern data warehouses. So it's a you need to have a different migration methodology. You need to have a different mindset altogether, because we discussed with Lalit many times that there are a lot of moving components in Snowflake. A lot of things are very transparent, and Snowflake as a product would take care. I need not to worry about scaling up and scaling down of the resources. I need not to worry about the storage space, and a lot of things that we used to worry about in the legacy data warehouses is not there anymore. And the way you store the data, you curate the data, and you share the data. All these new concepts, and no data copying, all these things needs a different mindset when it comes to designing and delivering these data products in the Lalit's world. So the as-is study really helped us a lot. And then once we understand what is important and getting that into Snowflake and redesigning the Snowflake, we had a very unique approach because of the as-is study that we had. And therefore, what I would like to conclude here is a lot of things that typically that goes into a data warehouse design and deployment are obsolete. The old mindset is complete. So that part is very important. So the migration methodologies, your best practices, your guidelines for the developers and everything has to be completely different. So we developed that methodology and we implemented at the Snowflake. We had some lessons learned, and because every customer is different, every data, and the business processes are different. There are learnings, and we have gone through the learnings during the POCs and pilot, and we are at a place that we can, the speed to market that the business team is anticipating, we can bring that with this unique approach that we have, coming up with. Over to you.
All right, thank you, Praveen. I'd like to remind all of our attendees, we're going to have a demo here shortly on Aura, which is your DFast product. And about this particular product, Praveen, would you give us a brief overview of Aura and perhaps share a success story?
Absolutely. So DFast is our Snowflake migrator. It's an accelerator to migrate the data from legacy data warehouse systems to Snowflake. We created this particular accelerator as our differentiator. We have seen walking into many implementations, very rarely you would have a implementation that is very greenfield. Most of the time, the customers are already having the pain points with their existing data warehouse system. So they want to move to Snowflake as early as possible. They want to do a prototype. They want to do a quick proof of value assessment. So the way we are bringing value here is to have this accelerator given to our customers as a complimentary when they sign up as implementation partners to us. If you allow, I can show the demo of that tool and also some of the key points, especially what benefits we would get by implementing DFast in the migration projects.
Okay, thanks. I think at this time, I think we're going to do our second poll question, and then I'll turn it over to you, Praveen, for the demonstration. So folks, if you see on your screen, we have a poll question 2. We ask for 100% participation, please. So how many employees are in American Tire Distributors wallet?
We've got 5,000 employees at American Tire Distributors, and we call them associates across North America. And then out of this 5,000, about 825 or so are sales associates that are spread.
So have they seen a dramatic improvement in their job capabilities and with this data-driven organization?
Yeah, we've ensured that we are chipping away at their manual process. In the past, they would struggle with data sets. A lot of them was done manually and with a lot of VLOOKUPs. So we are completely eliminating that. And the pocket still exists, and we want to chip away at that. But that's where we bring a lot of value and advantage. And, I used to describe, in the past, people would get 6 spreadsheets and they have to make a decision. And each of these spreadsheets had red and green dots. It's like giving a box of puzzle to somebody with puzzle pieces, whereas they really want a picture. So now we are morphed that into an analytic product and giving them that picture so that they can run their business and not assemble the pieces together.
Great analogy. Great analogy. Praveen, at this time, I'd like to turn it over to you if you would please take us through the demonstration on DFast.
Thank you, Jim. I'm going to share my screen momentarily. I would like to run a couple of slides and then get into the demo. I would like to introduce our accelerator here. It's called Aura DFast. This is to accelerate the data migration from your legacy data warehouses to Snowflake. Now, this is a very pain point for many organizations implementing modernizing their data platforms. So there are certain data assets or the data sets that are foundational in nature. Your master data, your even the foundational transactional data, or your planning data, or your historical data that you don't want to bring it from your source systems anymore. You already have in your legacy data warehouse systems that you want to move to Snowflake. So in order to do that, we created this DFast accelerator, which has a unique UI. I'm going to show intuitive UI that you can, which is almost no code kind of environment. You can drag and drop your data artifacts and data warehouse artifacts, and then you can have the similar objects created in Snowflake in a click of buttons. Integration will show you there are multiple ways to integrate your legacy systems, data warehouse systems into Snowflake. You can quickly validate the data, especially the metadata. It's a big pain point. Think about, you have to migrate hundreds of master data. Master data is master data. It is coming from the source system. So carrying out the metadata, creating all these various DDL scripts to recreate them in Snowflake can be painful and time-taking. This can be done with a click of buttons, and we have options to validate it. And of course, you can deploy on various in various methods. It can be on your cloud or it can be on premise. Now, so what are some key benefits? There are pre-configured pipelines, meaning if you have to bring tables, schemas, and views, they're already available. So you just drag and drop the objects, and you will get the final product into the Snowflake, which I'm going to show in a minute. Our case study shows, and the implementation facts from the implementation shows that it is going to speed up your implementation, overall implementation, especially the initial phases of the migration to create that foundation layers 30% faster. And obviously, it would save the cost of implementation. In certain cases, where the complex and largest, implementations in one of the oil and gas major, we have seen up to 60%, cost savings compared to typical regular migration projects. It's enterprise grade, in the sense you have the proper logs and proper, troubleshooting kind of, aspects already. So as I said, it's all about the faster migration. So the process is very simple. You connect various tools, various sources, inbound and outbound. You extract the metadata, you migrate it, you validate it, and you also can load the data for the quick, I would say, for the quick data validations. Here, high-level architecture here, the left side are the sources, the legacy data warehouses. You can have your tables, views, schemas, star schemas, and whatnot, depends upon the type of legacy data warehouse you are connecting to. The middle part is what we have created. That is our, I would say, the differentiator that we have created. And we have a metadata store and the data store, the migrators we created that, eventually you can, store these things on any cloud based on how and where your Snowflake is being implemented. And then the created metadata and the data will be loaded into Snowflake. So that is the concept here. I will quickly go to the demo here and show you how the system is going to look like. So this is our login screen or a DFast. You would log in into the system with your credentials. Once you log in within your system, you will be getting this particular screen. So here, what you're seeing in the screen is on the left side, various inbound connections that you can connect. On the right-hand side, various Snowflake systems that you can connect. So you can connect multiple systems. Right now, we are in the view of HANA, SAP system, SAP HANA system as a data warehouse, that legacy data warehouse that you want to retire and move your foundational objects into Snowflake. You would also can connect to business warehouse, Netezza, Teradata, MSBI, and SQL data warehouses as the inbound connections. So for that, you would do is you go to the connections and you can select either inbound or outbound. You have, when you say inbound, you have all the various connection details available. If it is HANA system, it would ask for the HANA connection details. And if it is a BW system, it would ask for the BW connection details and so forth. And if it is outbound, that is mainly Snowflake, you can connect multiple Snowflake systems if you want to. We have seen customers having various larger business units. They want to have their own Snowflake account, and you can create various Snowflake accounts connected to this tool with giving various information like your database schemas and roles, so where to send the information, for that matter, where to send your objects. So depends upon the type of the system you connect. You have a table migration, you have a view migration, and you can have a data migration. If it is a view migration, the system generally fetch all the data, metadata from your HANA systems. In this case, is a data warehouse. It is bringing various views that are available in the system here. These views can be multiple views inside the views, or having unions, joins, and so on and so forth. The way you migrate is you just drag and drop the objects that you want. You would have multiple options to do that. You can connect, I would say select one of your Snowflake system that you want to migrate to, and then you have the migrate button will be available for your connection. Once you migrate, you will get a simple log saying that the view has been migrated and it is available for you. to go and check it. So in this case, the moment it migrates, it turns the that particular inner join view that I migrated into green, meaning it is properly migrated. So let's go and see what happens in the Snowflake. You would go into the Snowflake by just clicking that button. You can directly go into the Snowflake, and you can log in and get into that particular object right there. For this demo, I believe I have that opened. Let me go into that part. So here is the database HANA-DB schema that we have here, and we have various views and various tables available. So the one that we just migrated is the one you are seeing here. You can also go into the history and look at the logs, how it is migrated. So the one we just migrated is the view that we I was showing from the system here. You will get the entire SQL available, how the the view is created. You would actually go and view the SQL. So basically, it decode whatever the joins and the various metadata that is available, and that is available that will be migrated into the system right away. So here you can also see the object the way you want to. You can preview the data if the data is available, and so on and so forth. So that is about the one aspect of this. Since we are here, let me also show if you would have connected your SAP BW system, how that works. So you have the info objects. You have if you're familiar with the BW system, it's an application-based data warehouse, not a SQL-based data warehouse. It has a different approach to it. So you have various tables. You have their proprietary objects called open hubs and so forth. You would also do the same thing. You would drag and drop and migrate into the into the Snowflake, and the system will bring that information into the proper schemas here, and whether it is a a info object schema or a data warehouse schema, and so on and so forth. So these are some of the examples that I would like to provide here as a part of the demo. And the way I would like to end this is we will give this particular tool as a complementary to play with the customers, like a 1 week complementary to play, connect to your systems and connect to your Snowflake, as an outbound migrate and see how it goes. So just want to ask you all to take the advantage of this service that we are offering. That's about this demo, and that's about this the DFast accelerator for Snowflake to migrate the data. Thank you for watching this, and we'll back to you, Jim.
Thank you, Praveen. That looks like a very elegant solution that you have created. At this time, I'm sure that a lot of questions are coming out in our audience, and I encourage all of you, please put your questions onto the chat in YouTube, and we'll have the limited time that we have left, we'll address those with our panel. Before we step into that, we've got one last poll question. If we could please pull that up.
Yeah, I like this one because everyone's got good intentions and plans, and hopefully we all stick on target, but curious to see the responses on how long or it would take you to evaluate and then migrate, right? I like to think of kind of the whole spectrum from day zero to go live. There is technical debt and costs associated with that entire time. So again, going back to speed being currency, this is definitely a good one.
All right, thank you for your participation, everyone. At this time, I'd like to move into our Q&A. We've got a few minutes left before the end of the session. And in no particular order, I'll just throw out the questions to our panel. and ask each of you to jump in. So when an organization is deciding to step into this journey, how do they go about choosing the right technology for data migration? What are some of the typical concerns and challenges?
I think I'll start, but I think we talked a little bit about this earlier where we said, we need to ensure that it meets our technology needs, the ability to bring in the data to centralize and consume, but also the post-go live support, the ongoing hand-holding, if you will, which is critical to the success of any tool. I think those are the things that are important as they evaluate multiple options.
Thanks, Lalit. We've mentioned a couple of times KPIs. Are there any particular KPIs that were identified early in the process that have proven to be more critical and more of a driver than others?
The obvious KPI is, how much, what's the running cost, right? So that's one of the ones that you have to watch. But putting that aside, the ability to get the data in a fast fashion, that was critical for us. The last thing you want to do is build some great analytic products, and then when it goes to the business users, you can see the spinning, which doesn't make sense, right? So from a user experience perspective, so the ability for the compute stack to deliver the data, that was one of the ones. The ability to not have to necessarily nickel and dime the amount of data that we hold on the platform. And that was one of the criteria for us from a KPI perspective. And then the ability for the talent within the organization to come up the learning curve and start leveraging the platform, that was important. With Snowflake, everything is SQL based. So that to me was very attractive. So that's another, it's not a KPI, but a strong criteria, because you have, the traditional architects and the engineers, they grew from the SQL world. So the ability to continue on that journey with the new stack was important for us. And then the ability to react to any events, whether that's the maintenance, whether that's a break fix, whether that's any security related incidents, all of those are critical to evaluation.
Thank you.
I'd probably just add quickly, when you're kicking off a project, let's come to a common agreement on what the milestone will be measured by. Is it amount of data migrated, number of source systems on Snowflake, number of end users that are live using the platform? Really, it's up to the business to decide, but let's find what that goalpost is, and then let's measure what is the success we're making towards whatever that metric may be. I often tell folks, this is not the field of dreams. It's not you build it and then they come. You need to work with your business partners to design things that they care about so that they come to the technology platform that you put in place.
Gentlemen, one of the key factors is to ensure there's minimal or no data loss and data security. What are some of the key factors that Moritech and Snowflake bring to securing the data?
I can probably touch on that. I know we're short on time, but really we believe in a true centralization of not just the data, but all of the roles, the access, the policies, the governance, the lineage. We believe in centralizing all of that. So oftentimes when we go through security reviews with prospective customers, the security teams very quickly realize that we are actually lifting the security and governance level of the organization as it pertains to data by hardening a lot of those different systems with end-to-end encryption, et cetera, right? So Snowflake was built with security in mind, and it is embedded at every layer of the platform. It's not something bolted on. So very, very robust in that regard.
That's one of the things that we are leveraging right now, because we are starting to bring in some PII data, and we want to make sure that the encryption, the masking, all those capabilities are available and they're native to the platform.
All right, Lalit, I've got another question from an audience member for you. And the question is, are there any new data challenges due to the pandemic? What can be a change in the way that data challenge versus traditional data challenges?
Yeah, I think we covered some of the points earlier. The pandemic, it has a strong effect on the supply chain. The disruption is huge, whether it's the delivery of the product, whether it's last mile delivery, it's the labor shortage at the DCs. All of those require us to constantly look at the data sets so that they can run some new models and help us solve. Recent example I'll tell you, where we were looking at some on-time shipments and the percentage that we have committed to our customers. And we were able to very quickly isolate it down to a few DCs where we had to take care of those DCs in order to raise the ecosystem's on-time delivery. That's not possible unless you have data at your fingertips and they are connected together. The question about traditional versus modern, traditional, all of this data was available. The problem was that you had to move this data into a central data warehouse and they had to be connected. There was a lot more steps before you can actually arrive at an answer. With the new stacks, we are now shortening that distance and getting to the insights very, very quickly. So that's kind of the short answer.
Well, gentlemen, unfortunately, we're at the end of our allotted time. First, I'd really like to thank each of you for a very, very insightful discussion and sharing your knowledge with us. So this brings us to the end of our session. I'd like to remind all the attendees that you are eligible for a one-week complimentary data strategy assessment that's provided by Moritech. You'll have, if you could email to inquiry@moritech.com, be happy to give you additional details on that opportunity. We'd like to thank all of our attendees. Have a very pleasant good day or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. Thank you for your time and attendance. And any unanswered questions, we'll be posting those on our LinkedIn. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that, I thank you.